There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if it belongs to relations, if it is offered, if it is by means of his own property, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. Back. This is Edward Reeves' Buddhist Books Podcast, or at least that's what it used to be called. Now it's just Buddhist Books Podcast. Brain glitch, sorry. Episode 153. Tipiṭaka, Part 86, in which I will recite Sekhiyā Dhammā 31 through 40, I'm assuming. If this is your first time seeing me, do go ahead and click right up here. That will take you to the Tipiṭaka playlist. Better to start with episode 1 and gradually work your way up to episode 86. Our special guest today, the 23rd Tirthankara of Jainism, Parshvanat. A little bit of an ecumenical exchange, just a little bit. Hair's breadth difference, really, in the grand scheme, at least in the early days. Mahavir was the 24th Tirthankara. He came about 300 years after Parshvanat, the 23rd Tirthankara. And Mahavir, the successor of Parshvanat, was a contemporary with Lord Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, and they were both wandering about in the same kind of corner of Bihar. Thank you for all the ambient sound today. Wow, a little bit extra. Anyway, so if you are interested in learning more about Parshvanat and Mahavir and Jainism, do please feel free to click here. There's 25 episodes of this podcast in which we did sort of a deep dive into the Jain Sutras. But for today, we'll be continuing with the early Buddhism, pre-sectarian Buddhism, reading the rules for the monks that most everyone skips over and says, yeah, there's a bunch of rules, you're not supposed to do silly things. So we're going to find out what these silly things are, at least as far as the Pali Text Society. Thank you, Pali Text Society, will allow us. They tend to replace things with 3 dots, so we'll have to do our best to figure out what goes in the 3 dots. It's sort of like a little game that we are forced to play. Any questions or comments, please do comment below. Cheers. Oh, before we get started, I don't remember what it stands for, but yesterday I got to go to MT for the first time. I'll put on the screen what that stands for the first time in several months. I don't know, it had been several months. I needed to stock up. I've got a lot of Japanese incense and other, Nepali and Indian incense, but I needed to stock up because I had used all of my Tibetan incense. So right now, as we speak, if you could smell, if there was a microphone with a nose on it, that would be weird. The internet would turn into a very strange place very quickly, no doubt. But right now you would be smelling this Potala incense. That's what I opened. That's what we're burning. But yesterday I was able to pick up Manjushri. And for those listening to the audio only, I apologize. This will only take a moment. I'm showing things on the screen. Nagarjuna, who we'll get into later when we get into Madhyamaka Mahayana, or Mahayana Madhyamaka. Yeah, that's something different. And then, here we have Kalchakra incense. Oh, I had mentioned that we would have him as a guest. We still will. Them, really. It's more of a them. Those who know, know. And Shambhala, not to be confused with Shambhalaya. That's something else. For more information about that, they're the controversial American-based Tibetan Buddhism. Anyway, but Shambhala is a holy word. Don't let them ruin it, please. So we've also got this Mon Lam. I don't even think I looked at the name of this. Oh yeah, I saw Tibetan herbal incense and I just grabbed it, but it's Mon Lam incense. So I'm looking forward to finding out, the subtle differences. They all just basically smell like a Tibetan temple. I like for my temple/office to smell like a Tibetan temple at times, and at other times like a Japanese temple. I've got a lot of the Morning Star brand stuff probably on the screen now. I'm an incenseaholic. Once a dadahas, that's a Greek word that means torchbearer in a certain context. Never mind. One or two of you might have gotten a chuckle out of that, and the rest of you were like, what? It's the Thalmashniet God form you take on? Yeah, never mind. I will go ahead and get to the reading now, shall I? Okay, 3 dots. Okay. At one time, the enlightened one, the Lord, was staying at Savatthi. That's what goes in those 3 dots. In Anathapindika's monastery. Now, at that time, the group of 6 monks, feeling a bit more playful today, so we'll let them come out. The 6 monks, that's them, with Parshvanat. How would Parshvanat deal with the 6 monks? Anyway, if this is the first episode you've seen, then you might be a little confused. These guys are always up to something. Let's find out what they're doing now. At that time, the group of 6 monks ate alms food inattentively, as though desire is not to eat. 3 dots, quote, 3 dots. Quote within quotes, attentively will I eat alms food, end quote within quotes, is a training to be observed, end quote. So probably in those dots are people observed this and saw this and said, how can these monks eat inattentively? And then other monks heard this and they said the same thing, and then they told Lord Buddha, and Lord Buddha said, is it true that you were eating inattentively? And then they said, yes, it is true, Lord. And he said, okay, we need to make a new rule. I will eat attentively, right? Whoever out of disrespect eats alms food inattentively, there is an offensive wrongdoing. It's the lowest of kind of infraction level. Anyway, there is no offense if it is unintentional. If he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. So, that was Sekhiyā Dhammā number 31. Let's see what number 32 is, shall we? 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Sekhiyā, at that time, the enlightened one, the Lord, was staying at Savatthi in Anathapindika's monastery. Now, at that time, the group of 6 monks ate alms food, looking about here and there. They did not know that they were piled up and overflowing. 3 dots, quote, 3 dots. These all sound very familiar, but I think they were receiving alms food inattentively and receiving alms food while looking about here and there. Now they're eating it inattentively and eating it looking about here and there. So that's the difference, right? All right. Quote within quotes, thinking of the bull, I will eat alms food, end quote within quotes, is a training to be observed, end quote. One should eat alms food thinking of the bull. Whoever out of disrespect eats alms food looking about here and there is an offensive wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, 3 dots, if he is the first wrongdoer. I must confess, I have a habit of watching The Expanse while eating meals. But then again, I'm not really a monk, so. Yes, 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks, having chosen here and there, ate alms food. There's a footnote. Chosen, in this case, being the Pali word omaditva. From the contexts, this seems to mean that the monks omitted to call at some houses, picking and choosing between them. Dictionary meanings of omadati are to rub, to crush, to oppress. In a sense, oppressed might be meant here for the laity, if unable to have gifts of faith, would be oppressed or pressed down. Well, all right, so they went to the houses that they knew had the good alms food, I guess. Right. 3 dots, quote, 3 dots, quote within quotes, on continuous alms tour will I eat alms food, and quote within quotes, is a training to be observed, end quote. One should eat alms food on continuous alms tour. Whoever out of disrespect eats alms food, having chosen here and there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if he is giving to others, he is impatient. What? If giving to others, he is impatient. If piling up, parentheses, food, end parentheses, into another's vessel, he is impatient. If there are dainties, well, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. That strikes me these days a little bit like the end of, well, Americans know it as the end of a pharmaceutical commercial. The rest of the world is like, pharmaceutical commercial? I know these two words, but I've never heard them put together. But in America, it's a thing. You run into it a lot. But anyway, at the very end, it's like, be sure to consult your doctor. Don't take more than the dosage. You'll probably die if you take this pill, but you should give us money anyway. You know, like just very quickly running through. There's no offense if he is unintentional. If it's unintentional, if he is mad. Anyway, shall we keep reading? Yes. Yes, we shall. 3 dots. In Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks eating alms food also ate much curry. This is another one reminiscent of one in the previous 10 where they received much curry. Now they're eating much curry. 3 dots, quote, 3 dots, quote within quotes, I will eat alms food with equal curry. And quote within quotes, is a training to be observed. Curry means there are 2 parentheses kinds of, and parentheses curry. Bean curry, kidney bean curry. There's 2, not more than 2. I was listing it as if there were 20. I think these days there's more than 2 kinds of curry. Right? That may be conveyed by hand. Alms food with equal curry should be eaten. Whoever out of disrespect eats also much curry, there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if it is of another flavor, if it belongs to relations, if it is ordered, if it is by means of his own properties, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. One kind of subtle note here is that when monks become monks, they don't relinquish their property, apparently, right? Because if a monk has property, it's like, a monk isn't supposed to have this or that unless it's its own property, or he's not supposed to do this with that unless it's its own property. So it's interesting, right? Who knows? 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks, having chosen from the top, ate alms food. 3 dots, quote, 3 dots, quote within quotes. Not having chosen from the top, will I eat alms food, end quote within quotes. Is a training to be observed, end quote. One should eat alms food not having chosen from the top. Whoever out of disrespect eats alms food having chosen from the top, there is an offense of wrongdoing. So I assume this means the best of the alms food. They were like, give me that piece. Oh, that piece looks nice. I mean, if I think of choosing from the top of something, that's the part that's exposed to the air and the bugs. So, but maybe it means the best. Give me that best piece, the prime rib, if you will, if they were having meat that day, which they did occasionally do, which might come as a shock to some folks, but yeah, they just weren't supposed to kill it themselves or have it killed. But if someone was serving meat that day, and they were like, "Come, monks, today we're having meat." They'd be like, "Thank you." The other thing is if a lion had killed something, then then the lion, finished its food and left, they were allowed to eat what the lion left behind. Anyway, so if you're wanting to live like an ancient Theravadan monk, you just hang around where the lions are if you're into meat, I guess. Whoever out of disrespect eats alms food having chosen from the top, there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if among an insignificant remainder he eats, having selected, having chosen from one side, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. All right, that was number 35. Moving right along, we're halfway through. 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks covered up the curry and the condiment with kanji, desiring something more. 3 dots. Quote, 3 dots. Quote within quotes, "I will not cover up the curry and the condiment with kanji, desiring something more." End quote within quotes is a training to be observed. End quote. Does anyone remember at Spencer's Gifts they had those condiments? Never mind. One should not cover up the curry or the condiment with kanji, desiring something more. Whoever out of disrespect covers up the curry or the condiment with kanji, desiring something more, there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if the owners give, having covered up, if he is not desiring something more, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. Number 37, 3 dots, in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks, always, every time, having asked for curry and kanji for themselves, ate it. People looked down upon, criticized, spread it about, saying, quote, "How can this group of 6 monks, having asked for curry and kanji for themselves, eat it? Who does not like well-cooked things? Who does not like sweet things?" End quote within quotes. Monks heard these people who, 3 dots, spread it about. Those who were modest monks, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, quote, "How can this group of 6 monks, having asked for curry and kanji for themselves, eat it?" End quote, 3 dots. Quote, "Is it true, as is said, that you monks, having asked for curry and kanji for yourselves, ate it?" End quote. Quote, "It is true, Lord." End quote. The enlightened one, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, quote, "How can you, foolish men, 3 dots, eat it?" End quote. Oh no, no end quote. We're still in the quotes. "It is not, foolish men, for pleasing those who are not parentheses yet, end parentheses pleased, 3 dots. And thus, monks, this rule of training should be set forth." Quote within quotes. "I will not eat curry or kanji, having asked for it for myself," end quote within quotes, is a training to be observed. End quote. And thus this rule of training for monks came to be laid down by the Lord. Now at that time, monks came to be ill. Monks, asking after the ill ones, spoke thus to the ill monks. Quote, "We hope that your references are better. We hope that you are keeping going." End quote. Quote, "Formerly we, your reverences, having asked for curry or kanji for ourselves, ate it. Thus there came to be some comfort for us." There came to be comfort for us. "But now it is forbidden by the Lord, and being scrupulous, we do not ask. Thus there comes to be no comfort for us." End quote. They told this matter to the Lord. He said, quote, "I allow you, monks, when a monk is ill, having asked for curry or kanji for himself, to eat it. And thus, monks, this rule of training should be set forth." Quote within quotes. I will not eat curry or congee having asked for it for myself, if not ill, end quote within quotes, is a training to be observed, end quote. One should not eat curry or congee having asked for it for oneself, unless one is ill. Whoever, out of disrespect, having asked for curry or congee for oneself, if not ill, eats it, there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if it belongs to relations, if it is offered, if it is by means of his own property, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks looked at others' bowls captious-mindedly. All right. Footnote, Ujhana Sahi. Is it? It's very small. Getting old here. Ujhana Sanni. Right. Maybe covetous? Captious. Editor Edward, could you look into captious for us? Tending to find fault or raise petty objections. So they're not coveting the food, they're criticizing the food. Thank you, Editor Edward. I can always rely on that guy. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he looks thinking, quote within quotes, space, just picking on Miss Horner, I will give or I will make, parentheses, another, and parentheses, give, and quote within quotes. If he is not captious-minded, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. All right, that was number 38. Next, number 39. 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks made up large mouthfuls. 3 dots, quote, 3 dots. Quote within quotes, I will not make up too large a mouthful, and quote within quotes, is a training to be observed, end quote. One should not make up too large a mouthful. Whoever out of disrespect makes up too large a mouthful, there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if there are solid victuals, if they are solid victuals, or kajaka. Here, all solid foods, parentheses, made of roots. All right. All sorts of fruits, dainties, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. So you can take a whole fruit and put it in your mouth, even if it's a big mouthful. That's fine. Or if it's a dainty. All right, 3 dots in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the group of 6 monks made up long pieces, parentheses, of food, and parentheses, 3 dots. Quote, 3 dots. Quote within quotes, I will make up the pieces, parentheses, of food and parentheses, into a round. End quote within quotes, is a training to be observed. One should make up a piece, parentheses, of food and parentheses, into a round. Whoever out of disrespect makes a long piece, parentheses, of food and parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing. There is no offense if it is unintentional, if he is not thinking, if he does not know, if he is ill, if they are solid victuals, all sorts of fruits, dainties, if there are accidents, if he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. The 4th division, that on attentively. Well, all right. We're moving right along through this section. I can't think of anything that I might have to say at this point. But if you're in New Delhi, check out the first ever Tibetan festival up at MT. That's happening. That's a thing. I'm probably not going to go, but I will have it in mind when it's happening, and I'll check in online to see how it went. Yes. All right. Thank you to Lord Parshvanath, the Tirthankara, or spiritual ford. And special thanks to the 6 naughty monks. And special thanks, most importantly, to you for going on this journey with me. And special thanks to you for subscribing to this channel. If you were subscribed before like 7 episodes ago, you might need to subscribe again because this is a new channel. This one's called Buddhist Books Podcast. The old one was my Edward Reeb channel, which if you're curious, you can check that out. The Edward Reeb channel, if you go there, you will see nothing but travel videos and other similar things. Unless you actually click videos, then you'll find the Buddhist Books recitals as well. So I will go ahead and close. Any questions, any comments, feel free to comment below. And, yeah, all right. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time, Edward is not a formally ordained man. A shawl with great respect for his recitations of Buddhist Scriptures.